prepared to make a sacrifice, to make that good. And that good is always, does it benefit the country? Does it benefit the country's citizens? And that's why, like you mentioned in the 2002, there were so many of those people, every one of them wanted to be the president. Nobody would make a compromise. And he assessed the mood and said, if we go to that meeting, we will come to a deadlock, because everybody, he himself was prepared to sacrifice. And he assessed and he said Kibaki would be a better, not the best, but it would be better, we would be better compared with all the others. And we can achieve what we are fighting for. And he realized, if we don't solve this problem now, we will end up with another 1992, when they all went their different ways. And the system came back and said, if we do not agree now, and because the chance of agreement were minimal, he said, and so the best way forward, Kibaki would be there. And he decided that if we tell us the others, they will not agree. And he read the public mood. He's always on the side of people. If I say torture, game short. And that's what happened. And he made his own sacrifice.
And contextually, that 2002 polls was pitting then young Uhuru Kenyatta, who was viewed as a continuation of the Moi regime and the KANU regime, and Raila Odinga. Simeon Nyachae was also on the ballot. Now, these are live pictures from Opoda Farm as the military gun carriage bearing the mortal remains of Raila Odinga leaves Opoda Farm one last time. For a man who has walked through those doors for many years, his mortal remains will be guarded by the military as it moves with pace to the Jaramogi Oginga University of Science and Technology. This symbolically also symbolizes an end of a man's life, leaving his home as he heads to that university where we expect President William Ruto to lead the nation in mourning Raila Odinga one last time before he is laid to rest at Kango Kajerum. This is a military procession with precision, guarding and guiding the mortal remains of Raila Odinga through the narrow streets of what was once his home streets. These, as Kenyans of all kind, tribe, faith, religion, and whatso, mourn and celebrate a man who has lived 80 years and spent nearly half of that in Kenya's politics. Former teacher, German-trained engineer, politically seeking asylum in Norway, tortured by the Moi regime, cooperated with it later on. A man who was opposed and worked with presidents for the years that he has been in Kenya's politics. The son of Kenya's first vice president, who comes from the family of one of Kenya's political heavyweights. His sister is a senator, a nominated, not a woman rep, rather. This is a man who President William Ruto has mourned as a champion of reforms, as a man who spoke for those who needed voice. His elder brother is a senator, is older than him by 2 years of age, and is the co-chair of the committee that was tasked alongside the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, to organize the final send-off of Raila Odinga. Just a reminder that this is a state funeral and Kenya is observing 7 days of mourning period as the colorful, beautiful Kenyan flag flies half-mast in honor of one of its prodigal sons. He was a member of that generation that fought for the second liberation of the country, for the repeal of a part of the constitution that dictated Kenya as a one-party state. He was there at the promulgation of what has been termed as Kenya's most progressive constitution in 2010. He was then the Prime Minister in a power-sharing model with then and late President Mwai Kibaki. A political figure who has commanded audience in equal measures, loved and politically loathed, but in death, a country in unison of his important role, regardless and irrespective of the political divide that supported and opposed him. His party, the Orange Democratic Party, will be marking 20 years of existence, a ceremony that was postponed to November of this year, but with the untimely death of Raila Odinga, we will see what the future holds for a party. Some are questioning its very existence post-Raila Odinga. A man of many nicknames, Tinga, a man named as Baba, not because of age, but some say because of the political maturity he displayed in his political life. A Gwambo, loosely translated as the mystical one, the unpredictable one, who, as the professors in studio alluded to, would make decisions, then convince his followers, as he did with the broad-based government and as he did with the handshake agreement that he had with the former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. President Kenyatta also mourned Raila as his friend and a selfless leader who put his country above personal and selfish interests. Raila has been mourned by the country and by the region, from Tanzania's Samia Suluhu Hassan to Ethiopia's Abiy Ahmed to Djibouti's Ismail Omar Gele to Uganda's Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to the African Union. A man who the former American President Barack Obama described as a selfless leader who put his country first. Raila Odinga, just a reminder, died on Wednesday in India while receiving treatment. An ardent Arsenal supporter who figuratively described himself sometimes back as the Fabregas of Kenyan politics, which suggested to a midfield prowess of how important he was in Kenya's politics. He was the patron of Gor Mahia, sport-wise, at the time of his death, and who commanded a fanatic following, not just from the region he was from in Nyanza, but across the country, in counties of Mombasa, Mandera, Wajir, and far beyond. He, together among others, have played an important role in Kenya's life, a nation in its midlife itself. Is a man who bore the excesses of the state, a man who equally paints a conflicting portrait of a legacy to some, who swore himself in as the people's president famously, who rejected presidential election results and challenged them through the courts of law and agreed with the outcomes of those judicial settings. And if anyone was ever in doubt of his ability to command presence and people, like in life, his death has attracted a mammoth of people, a sea of humanity who mourn a man many whom politically associated with but never met in person. Let's get to the sights and sounds of what is now the final journey of Raila Odinga from his Opodo farm to the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. This as Bondo mourns its prodigal son, one of Kenya's leading political figures. Let's listen in.
Endiende pole pole.
Well, those are live pictures as a Ghan carriage bearing the mortal remains of Raila Odinga sneaks through Bondo, heading to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. A passionate audience there expressing their last moments of respect for a man who was not just their neighbor, but to an extent, their political leader. We are keeping an eye on the action, and as history befalls. Let's speak to our very own Violet Auma, who is with a section of Kenyans and mourners who are mourning the late Raila Odinga. Violet Auma.
Yeah, thank you, Abubakar. We're coming to